Welcome to today's webinar, Caring for Yourself, Staying Engaged, and Navigating the Holiday Season. My name is Sarah Tarani, and I am the Program Coordinator at Triage Cancer. I'd like to take a moment to recognize our generous sponsors of the 2017 Triage Cancer webinar series. Without support from Takeda Oncology, Genomic Health, and Ignita, we would not be able to host these webinars for free. For those of you who aren't aware, Triage Cancer is a national nonprofit organization that provides information and resources on cancer survivorship issues. And we provide this education in a few different ways. First, we host a speakers bureau of experts in all types of cancer survivorship issues available to your organization putting on an educational event. You can read about our speaker bios and request a speaker on our website. We also host many educational events all over the country, including our new insurance and finance intensive, our in-service trainings, and Triage Cancer conferences. We have monthly webinars, and the 2018 series will begin on January 24th with taking time off and paying for it. Registration for these webinars is not open yet, but will be, and that information will be coming in the December newsletter. So take a look out for that. And finally, we have a plethora of online resources and tools available for free. For example, we have charts of state laws on employment, disability, and health insurance related issues. We have quick guides on various topics such as employment, finances, privacy, clinical trials. We're adding new ones all the time, and these are designed to be a snapshot of a particular topic. We also have a resource called Cancer Finances, which is at cancerfinances.org. It's an online tool designed to be a comprehensive source of reliable information for individuals trying to navigate finances after a cancer diagnosis. So after answering simple, relevant questions pertaining to their particular situation, individuals with any type of cancer will be presented with personalized and actionable information. Currently, there are modules for health insurance, disability insurance, and financial assistance resources. We'll be adding education and employment very soon. And lastly, we have an educational blog and e-newsletter where we post late-breaking news on cancer-related legal issues and happenings around the cancer community. Now, without further ado, let me introduce our speaker for today, Julie Larson. Julie is a psychotherapist in New York City. In her practice, she works primarily with people under the age of 40 around issues of wellness, loss, and life transitions. Prior to establishing her private practice, Julie was the Young Adult Program Director at Cancer Care for 6 years. Julie continues to advise many advocate organizations on strategies to improve their young adult programming and has been featured in various publications, including Self Magazine and Cure Magazine. So with that, I will turn it over to Julie.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's always an honor to present and to be here with everyone at Triage Cancer. I look forward to talking today about holiday stress and what that means and how we can kind of prepare and take care of ourselves as we head into the holiday season with Thanksgiving just next week. So I'm just going to begin by just thinking about having everybody kind of join me in visualizing that holiday picture, what you hope for as we sit here today and we've got that whole season in front of us, what your hopes are and what you think the holiday should, perhaps that word kind of trickles in all the time, look like. And this image popped up for me and it kind of just resonated and it seemed like a pretty cozy, perfect holiday picture. But I think the reality often is, oh, that didn't work. It didn't go to the, oh, well, that actually usually disappears, and there's a picture behind that picture, and it's talking about all the things that come up for us within the holiday. Shopping, finding the quote-unquote perfect gift for those that we love, holiday cards, baking, cooking, decorating, the endless to-do list that kind of piles on and leaves us feeling frazzled and overwhelmed and pulled in so many directions, which is an image that might be very far from this cozy little picture by the fire. holiday stress. So what is difficult for you? Throughout this entire presentation, and honestly in all of my work that I do with patients and with individuals in my practice and when I speak, my main approach always is to have people sit back, take a big, broad issue and really personalize it, really make it very, very specific to you. The words holiday stress are a vague way of labeling what could be dread, exhaustion, the experience of being overwhelmed during this time of year. It's pretty vague. So my first challenge to anyone listening today or anyone that's kind of, quote, dreading that holiday stress is get specific. Really sit back and reflect and think about, for you, what is uniquely difficult for you. Maybe it's this year or in a year. And then when you become more specific and better able to identify the issues that impact you directly, then we can kind of begin to craft coping strategies around those specific times. People, maybe it's people, or moments that would be particularly distressing for you. So the first step would be to get specific. What's it going to be? Because what is stressful and overwhelming for you might be really exciting for somebody else who cannot wait to make 17 different types of holiday cookies. That's like their highlight. They look forward to it all year. But for you, that's really like, I cannot even imagine. To send holiday cards might be something that somebody else really looks forward to as a way of connecting to others, and for somebody else it might be really taxing. So it's very important that you take a moment and kind of think about the whole season and what is specific to you. On the other hand, let's also leave room and give ourselves a little space to think about what you most look forward to. The traditions or the rituals or the things that happen year after year or that you hope for yourself that you really do want to make sure are part of this season. Be specific on that side of this picture too. As you're thinking about this, and maybe it's too hard to get specific, maybe it's just too hard to get detailed, these are common holiday stressors. So these are common areas where people feel stressed during the holiday. Uncomfortable family gatherings. And with a cancer diagnosis, that can mean having to talk about your diagnosis endlessly, having to face the conversations from others, or conversely, having nobody say anything at all to you, or nobody ask or touch base or check in a way that you would hope for. So family gatherings can be uncomfortable for many reasons, but when we put cancer also in the picture, that adds a whole nother layer to this too, that makes family gatherings tricky. Another common area for holiday stress is unhappy memories. Not to get too psychodynamic on you, but sure, we all have memories from our child that can be wonderful and warm and fuzzy, and then we can also have things that happen to us that make the holidays feel particularly stressful. We've lost somebody that we love, and this is a first season without them. Or there's the memory of years when family gatherings came together in a very stressful way. So unhappy memories can kind of get triggered and be walking right alongside us during this year. That's normal. That's common. Or is that part of your picture? What has changed in your life since last year? Holidays, New Year's, these markers and these milestones in the calendar often are a natural point when we can't help but take inventory. We can't help but look back and see, goodness, look what happened in this past year. Look at what's changed. Look at what's so different. And that can be hard to face. Maybe, though, if we look at, again, the other side of that picture, and each one of these points has two sides. It has a side that leaves us feeling a degree of loss. And then if we can also kind of look and keep making that picture wider, there might be things that have changed in your life since last year that you're thankful for. Let's look at the whole thing. What has not changed in your life since last year? And just like the previous point, this one too can have two sides of the coin. Maybe someone is still unemployed. Maybe someone is still facing infertility without a response. Maybe someone is still going through chemotherapy. Or maybe things have changed in a way that you were hoping for or that feel good and feel right for you as you walk into this year. So give yourself some time to kind of paint that picture and see what you discover. Another common holiday stressor, and we're just being practical and logistic, is that It's relentless. The pace of the holidays and the cultural kind of should, must, ought of what we ought to do and what we need, quote, need to do is relentless from about the beginning of November as we prepare for Thanksgiving, and then holy cow, kicking into gear after Thanksgiving as you approach the holidays. Put that right next to the cold and flu season, our immune systems that might be weaker, are impacted from treatment. And then, again, with the busyness and the hectic pace of the holiday, we're less apt to take the best care of ourselves, getting to bed on time, maintaining sleep hygiene, having regular hours of sleep, eating when we're hungry and eating well-balanced meals, drinking water, moving, or doing those basic things, taking just some time for ourselves. Those things kind of get pushed off of our plate. And so that, in addition to all of those bullet points above, can all contribute to what feels like a stressful time of year. When you put this, when I was writing this presentation and thinking about just the basic demands of the holidays, the demands of the holidays are, we're demanding connection, that you get together with family, that there's a sense of like looking forward to that, but maybe in some senses obligation to connect with people, connect with friends, connect with others. Energy that we are going to be jolly and it's going to be festive and it's going to be happy and bright, and that energy is kind of the demand of the holiday, that we're going to make meaning and all snuggle and sit by the fire and count our blessings and feel grateful and good, that there's that sense of kind of underlying demand of the holiday, and that we have to sit back and be grateful. Okay, so while those things can be wonderful and good, and I don't want to push those away, they can also sometimes add to the stress and add to a sense of, uh-oh, what happened there? We add to the stress of the holiday. If you put that right up against the demands of cancer, fatigue, and sometimes feeling isolated, and that can be an issue for the two. Are you seeing the presentation, or is it just on my screen that it disappeared? Are you there, Sarah? Or Monica? Is somebody else there with me? Hello?
Sorry,
me?
Yes, I am. I just had to unmute myself. I am still seeing it, but we are getting some questions from people, so that might be, I can't see it, we can see it, I see it. So okay. People are seeing it, some people aren't. So I think it's just isolated problems.
Okay, good. And when I do that and I go to my other screen on my computer, do you see that, or do you still see what's going on there? Can you see that? Sorry about that.
We only see what's going on.
You're still seeing it.
Yep.
Okay, good, because I'm kind of bouncing back and forth. So as long as you can see it, that is all that matters to me. That's good. I will work that out. So right now, we're on that screen of the demand of the holiday versus the demand of cancer. And you see the demands of the holiday and the demands of the consequences of cancer are in complete opposition to each other. Connection and a feeling of isolation, energy and fatigue, meaning-making and gratitude paired right up against uncertainty and feelings of loss. So all of that is jumbled up and together there, and it can make for a complicated season for somebody who's also going through cancer. Okay, I'm going to have you go ahead and advance the slide since I can't see what's going on, if that's okay. Tell me when you're ready.
Yes, I've advanced.
Good, thank you. So when you think about all the things that matter to you with the holidays, can we take some inventory here? I was reading through a lot of different articles about holiday stress as I was preparing this and looking at lots of different things. And one of the things that I read, I loved all these D words here, do, diminish, and delete. And I felt like that was an easy way to kind of think about this. What are the things that you do, or the things that you most look forward to all year long that you can't wait for? Those are the absolutely things you're going to put at the top of your list that you're going to do. Maybe that is a time when family gets together and you bake cookies. Maybe it is the holiday cards that matter a great deal to you. Maybe it is gathering together with friends or with family and sitting together for a point in the holiday season. What are the things that really do matter to you in your individual personalized list? Let's put those things at the top. If there are other things, can we diminish them? I was working with a client and she was dealing with overwhelming stress. She was feeling all of this pressure of the holiday. And when we began to kind of piece it out and get specific with her, one of the things that was on her list that mattered a great deal to her was making gifts for the teachers in her kids' classrooms, her neighbors that she cares a great deal about in her neighborhood. She wanted to deliver something homemade to them, and she'd done it many years. And not only was making that gift important to her, but more so delivering it and making that connection. So the diminished piece was maybe this year, as she had a lot on her plate and it was also going through treatment, so needing to cut down, she could go out and she could actually buy something, buy a homemade loaf of bread, buy a store-bought loaf of bread, and then just still deliver that, still had the meaning, still had the moment that she was wanting to, but she didn't need to add that to her list. Are there ways that you can simplify a task? Have everyone come to you as opposed to going. Or conversely, this year don't host it in your house, but go to others. Don't bring a food, bring some flowers to the table. So something that can diminish, still give you something to do, but diminish what that is so that it takes off some of that stress level. And then, are there other issues that you can simply delete? Maybe long-standing traditions that you feel you should do year after year after year, but over time have lost their meaning, have lost the sense that they once had. And maybe it's okay to kind of really take a long, hard look at some of those things and just give yourself permission to cross it off the list. I tell my clients when they hear those thoughts in their head of I should, or we must do this, or, that we need to stop. Those words should, must, and ought are warnings to you. It doesn't mean that you have to cut it out, but it may be something you just need to look at a little bit more, a little closer and question yourself. This year, or in certain years, you might have a different type of holiday. Allow that to be the case. I'm working with a woman right now who sadly lost her husband. Nobody really wants to get together for Thanksgiving this year. They will definitely still get together, but the holiday is looming ahead of them. And certainly nobody wants to be cooking or preparing the meal. So they're all going to go out to a restaurant this year. It's nothing that they've ever done. They're going to do it different this year. And in that, be open to what you discover. Maybe there's something really wonderful about that. Maybe that gives you more time leading up to the holiday to be with others. Maybe it takes the stress out of that day and lets everybody kind of find surprises in that moment that feel really good. Be open to others. Okay, I am back. Yay. Okay, so next slide. What messages? For stress sits in our body. Always stress sits in our body in some ways. And when I'm sitting across from people in my office, I can usually see it. I'll often point out to people, if they're all wrapped up in a ball with their arms crossed and their legs crossed all in a tight ball in my office, do they feel that? Do you know where stress sits in your body? Do you get headaches? A lot of people get headaches. Do you get tense muscles in your shoulders? Do you feel like a pit or a spinning stomach? Digestive issues? Do you feel overwhelming fatigue that doesn't particularly make sense? And I know that some of these things might be confusing along with going through treatment for cancer, but a lot of times it's historical. So through your life, even before you were diagnosed with cancer or before you were caregiving for somebody that you love, do you recognize where stress sits in your body? That's a message, because sometimes our lives are going fast and the pace is frenetic, and we can get lost in that, and we don't know. But if we begin to suddenly take in, oh my gosh, I have this splitting headache. Whoa, maybe that's a sign. Oh, my stomach is just a pit in my stomach. Ooh, that's maybe a sign. Do you know what your body is telling you? Pay attention to that. When you feel that stress response, whether that's a sense of overwhelming, you feel it in your thoughts are racing, or you feel it in your body, one of those stress points, or your heart's racing, or whatever that might be, put that stress response to work. Give it a job. And the job that I would say is when you feel that, let's pair that, let's link that right away to a bite-sized self-care. So when you feel it, how can you immediately use that sign in real time to plug in a self-care moment? Now, when I say bite-sized self-care, I'm not talking about, and now we need to go to the gym for an hour, because that's not bite-sized. I'm not talking about yoga or having a nice salad. That's not bite-sized. That's not, you're not able to do that in the moment. But what do I mean by bite-sized self-care? And you can add to this list. These are some of my ideas. But by taking long, slow breaths, it slows your heart rate, it lowers blood pressure, it basically changes the pace of your body. So if everything is moving too fast, can you just take 60, 90 seconds, which is going to feel like eternity, warning, can you just take that small bite-sized moment, close your eyes or focus on something far away, and just take long, slow breaths. And I think that pace in your body physiologically actually will go down, and you can feel more grounded and more in control. Conversely, that's kind of about getting grounded, getting a little bit more present. Sometimes it actually helps in a moment when we feel overwhelmed to take a step back, kind of float above it, look at the whole picture, and see if that gives you perspective. I was actually talking to a group of children about stress and coping, and we kept using this phrase of make the picture bigger. If something in your picture is really difficult and hard, and that's the only thing in the picture, well, then of course you feel really upset and angry and frustrated and sad and isolated. But can you open up that lens, make that picture a little bit bigger, and begin to pay attention, notice joy, notice what else is happening in this picture, and see if that gives you some different perspective. Be present. Be present. That sounds so vague, right? But what does be present mean? Can you get mindful? And when I talk to people about that, I think a helpful tactic or strategy to that is tuning into your five senses. So using your five senses, if you're sitting at a table and you're eating dinner and your head is spinning still on all the things you want to do, or you're thinking about what others might be thinking about you and it's making you feel bad, or the connection is awkward and weird, or somebody isn't saying something or somebody is saying something, you're so in your head. All of that is very much in your head. How do we get reconnected to our body? Slow down and pay attention to the present moment. Feel the food in your mouth. What does it taste like? Breathe. Listen to the sounds around you. Get your feet literally on the ground. I tell people all the time, stomp your feet on the ground. You don't have to tell other people what you're doing, but if you're at work and you're feeling kind of an anxiety moment or overwhelm, get those feet on the ground. Give yourself a hug. Touch your body. All of those things help you to get out of your head and a little bit more connected to your body and be present. Reach out and connect with others. Often when I'm working with my clients and I'm hearing them talk about a hard day or a hard time, it kind of pairs right alongside a day or a period of time when they're alone or they feel very isolated and disconnected. And not that you have to go to a party and be surrounded by a huge, overwhelming group of people, but who is in your list of friendships or relationships that you can reach to that responds to you and connects with you in the most natural and meaningful way? Just a quick phone call, a moment to connect. That moment of connecting can sometimes burst that bubble of isolation. Reach out and connect with others. Laugh. Watch a funny movie. Play music, laugh. Laughter and joy, all of that lowers cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And research has shown there's actual, statistics and neurophysics on this that lowers the cortisol levels in your body, and it boosts endorphins, which are the feel-good hormones in our body. So laughter is the best kind of medicine. It really is true. Drink water. Sometimes all that fuzziness and that fatigue can be dehydration. So drink water. Remember to drink water. We often are forgetful about that. Put yourself to bed. And when I say put yourself to bed, what I mean there is not just sleep and get a good night's sleep, but actually go through a ritual at the end of your day of getting yourself ready and to go to sleep. It helps your body to wind down and to get into a place of being ready to sleep. Play music. And and play music can be anywhere in that genre, whatever genre is you're needing for you. So if you're feeling sluggish and you're feeling a bit low, put on some happy tunes, put on some disco music, put on whatever it is that makes you kind of get yourself kind of bopping along. If you're feeling particularly stressed and like everything, there's too much on your plate, put on some just quiet piano music or some quiet, relaxing music and see how that changes the tone within your room. Where do you find your holiday magic? So again, with being specific, prioritize the holiday traditions and the things that you await every single year, that you look forward to the most. And maybe that's a solo moment. Maybe that's a moment just with a few people in your family. Maybe it's a big moment with a bunch of people over at your house. Maybe it is just sitting some night and looking through holiday cards. I don't know what that moment is for you. How do you prioritize the holiday traditions that you await each year? Connect with others in a way that is comfortable for you. So understandably, when you're dealing with cancer or you're caring for someone that you love, connecting with others might have other things that you need to consider. Is it easier to do that in your home, or would it be easier to leave your home and go to somebody else's? Do you want to do everyone at one time, or do small groups? Do small groups coming again and again and again feel exhausting, and it would be easier to have everyone at one time, see everybody, or is that too much and smaller groups are easier? If you're entering into a big group or into an event of some kind, do you need a wingman? Is it your spouse? Is it a sibling? Is it a parent? Is it a best friend? Who can be your wingman to kind of know, okay, I think I'm going to need to leave. We need to figure out an exit strategy. Or if people continually ask questions, that they can kind of be with you or alongside you in that moment. If something triggers an emotion and you feel like you need to take a break, they can go with you to a restroom or walk away into a different room of the house. Who's your wingman? Where's a place where you can feel safe? Know your limits. So maybe in this beginning part of November, or, as we kind of ramp up here, you begin to identify what your time frame is. 2 hours is really great. At about 3 to 4, I really start to feel exhausted, and I know I'll pay for it the next day. What time of day? Are you better in the morning? Is it easier in the afternoon? How does that relate to your treatment or how you're feeling and the sleep that you're having? If you're having to take medication, if you're not, what time of the day works for you? The length of the visit. So if you're traveling, is it best to stay for a longer time because you kind of need to get into a rhythm and then feel like your sleep schedule gets really acclimated and it's easier to stay for a little bit longer? Short visits feel too discombobulated. Or is being away from home really difficult and a shorter visit is better so that you can get back to the comforts of home? And frequency. Is one trip in the holiday enough, or can you do multiple things? Think about all of those things as they relate uniquely to you. Identify the tricky players. And so there are always others in our lives that can be tricky to interact with. And that's natural and that's understandable, and everyone has that. When you know you're going to connect with those people, give those interactions a focus. So maybe you're doing something together. Maybe there are others in the room. Maybe there are certain topics are safe and easy, and you throw those on the table first so that now everybody's kind of surfing their way through and trying to figure out how to navigate this. Give it a focus. Give it something that you can actively do. Allow trusted others to sit alongside you in emotional moments. When you have an emotional moment, when you feel particularly vulnerable, can you allow someone else in? It is when we are able to share our vulnerability that often we find the most profound connections. And if we keep that to ourselves, we sometimes miss out on those moments of allowing others a chance to be with us in the moments that feel emotional or feel hard and find our way through that as together. It gives other people the permission to be that way alongside with you too, so that everyone isn't alone in that vulnerable place. So allow your trusted others to be with you in that. You might find connections that help you through in a way that feels meaningful and fulfilling. Be honest. Don't stop the holiday, but stop the show. Does anybody know Brené Brown? She's kind of hot right now. She's definitely a role model for me. I think she's amazing. If you don't know Brené Brown, you should Google her as soon as we hang up. I think she's fantastic. But she put a holiday blog post up a few years ago about the show. and about how there's so much that we do for the holiday, and because everyone else is doing it, or everyone else has a glossy Christmas card, or everyone else is, stop the show, but don't stop the holiday. Do what feels right for you. And, you know, there's a question within that blog post of hers that she asked herself, and I loved it, and I kind of incorporated in this. If we're something that feels like a lot of work, is this part of us, or is this part of the show? Think about that. Do you have to set a place for cancer at the table? First slide here is yes. And the reason why I say yes is because I feel that if you prepare in advance for how cancer, and I know I might be talking to both survivors and caregivers, but how cancer, and I'm kind of personifying cancer as another piece of the puzzle here, another setting the table for cancer, how that is going to interrupt your holiday. Can you anticipate? Do you know? Does it mean, you know, how do you have everything that you would need? This includes reminding yourself that you will face unexpected situations when they arise, so one step at a time. So by setting a place for cancer at the table, it means preparing or maybe anticipating ways that you can kind of mediate that. Stock up on necessary supplies or medicine. Get ready for it so you're not having to run out, or you don't run out of things. Pack your diagnosis, all the documents you might need about your diagnosis, your treatment plan, and your medical team contacts when you leave home in case you need it. You may not need it. You may only be going for like a day and a half. Just toss it in there in case. That way you're prepared. You've got what you need. Clarify any changes to the way you might need to contact your medical team during the holidays. For the most part, it might stay exactly the same as it always has been. But if you have an appointment between now and then, you might say, hey, anything going to be different with the way that I would contact you if I needed you during the holiday season? They might be like, actually, it's a good thing you asked. On Christmas Day, this is going to happen. On New Year's Day, this is going to happen. So clarify those changes. Talk with your medical team about your travel plans, just so they're aware. They know what you're doing. They know where you're headed. Maintain, as best as you can, consistent sleeping and eating schedules. Your body is your vessel through the holiday, so how you take care of it along the way. So maintaining the consistency might help you be more stress resilient. So the bottom pieces here, stress resilient versus stress vulnerable. And if I can explain that, I'll try to kind of make that personal. When you are tired, when you are hungry, when you have kind of irritable, are you going to deal with an overwhelming or complicated situation in your best way? Probably not. And it's not just you, it's all of us. So when we do work to make an effort to get the sleep that our bodies need, to give our bodies what they need for nutrition, and to kind of breathe and stay as grounded as we can, that makes us more stress resilient. That when we're met with a complex dinner, family dinner, or an intense holiday moment, we're coming at it in the most resilient way we can. Now this slide, do you have to set a place for cancer at the table? No. So again, you don't have to set a place. You do not have to talk about it. Cancer does not need to be the centerpiece. We do not need to talk on and on about this. We do not need to go over and over it. It does not need to be the one thing that your friends want to touch base with you. Create a scripted response for when friends or family ask you about cancer, and then redirect that conversation so that you can move it forward. You know, this is how things are right today. I'm continuing my treatment, but right now for the holiday, I want to focus on being here with all of you. Shift it. Give your family and friends a clear message that I don't necessarily want to focus on cancer today. I want to focus on Thanksgiving. I want to focus on these cute grandkids. I want to focus on this. That's where my focus is today. Keep another chance to have a wingman. Keep a trusted family member or friend right near you when you're in challenging groups or big groups to help you navigate that interaction. So if it gets intense, or people asking questions or wanting to know more information, or if it feels like it's making you feel emotional, that other person can help redirect and weave that. You probably have to have a little bit of a prep talk with that person so they know their role. Use humor. Humor is a trait of resiliency. I don't want to, I'm not speaking about, minimizing or diminishing what's going on, but use humor to diffuse intense emotional moments. That is an ability that some people have that facilitates their resilience. So test it. Try humor. You are more than your cancer diagnosis. Take the you inventory. And what that means is what else is happening for you? What else is going on? What else is a piece of who you are? And let that be where others are interested and able to connect with you during the holiday season. It's your holiday. It's your family. It's you. So consider you. So much of the holiday is about others, and that is a beautiful piece of the holiday. But also, when you know what the holiday truly means to you, you'll also feel that connection of what you get. Joy and gratitude go hand in hand. And I think that if we're finding a hard time finding joy, how can we practice gratitude as a door, as a gateway to soften into joy? You know, when we look around a table and we can count our blessings, and that allows us to practice, to notice and to soften into joy. Use the answers you discover about what defines a meaningful holiday for you to make choices. To make choices that are meaningful for you. The answers and the choices you make will be different for each and every person and each and every moment. And it might be different for you this year as compared to years in the past or years yet to come. But as you sit and you're faced with the holiday barrage of questions and invitations and things that are going on, and even if that isn't something that you're faced with, but you're making mindful choices about how you want to spend that time and honor this season, let it really resonate for you. Say no to the perfectly, this is a great line, and I got it off of a different blog. I loved it. Amanda Morgan was the blog. Say no to the perfectly wonderful ideas that do not really mean so much to you, so you can say yes to the imperfectly wonderful moments that do. And so there might be things that seem like the Norman Rockwell holiday or like what we have to do, but we can't this year. It's not possible. How do we simplify? How do we be mindful of what's working for us? And then we have a lot of different resources. So we've got about 15 minutes here, that if there are questions or there are points or things that have come up for you as I've been talking, I would love to hear, and I would love to talk more about what's been resonating for you as we talk. I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Julie. I just want to remind everybody, if you have a question, you can type it into the chat box and we can get them right up top there. So let's start off with one right away. Are there any other resources that you could recommend for information about this topic?
You know, a lot of national organizations, American Cancer Society, Cancer Care, Leukemia Lymphoma Society, many large national cancer-related organizations have excellent resources and publications written about coping with the holidays with cancer. And so I would steer you to some of those places that have wonderful educational materials too, and that might add to what I've also said today.
Wonderful. Wonderful. We'll give it a few more moments here for questions.
Sure. There's a lot of change. You know, go ahead.
Oh, no, please, you go.
I was just going to say that when a diagnosis of cancer is, when you're dealing with cancer through the holiday, it often highlights and triggers those feelings of loss. And feelings of loss, it's grief. So giving yourself permission to grieve too. You know, I think that often when I'm sitting with people in my office and I use the word grief and loss, and then we kind of it opens up to the tasks of grieving, of just feeling sad and feeling angry or frustrated, that somehow that gives permission to let honor those feelings, and then opens up to the ability to keep moving and notice the joy as well.
Great, thank you. We have gotten quite a few questions about people wanting to get copies of these slides. We will have this webinar as a webinar posted on our website. In terms of sharing the PowerPoint slides, that's really a question for Julie.
Yeah, I'm happy to share the slides. Is my contact information within the is it anywhere on here?
No,
I can certainly give you. Okay.
it is not.
Why don't I? If I type, will it show up to everybody?
No, it won't. But why don't we do this? If anybody would like copies of these slides, send a request to us at info@triagecancer.org, and then we will contact Julie on your behalf and get the slides for you, okay? So
Absolutely. And you know what, Sarah? I'll just send them to you so you'll have them.
Perfect. Oh, perfect. Okay. And
yep.
Another viewer also wanted to say that there is a holiday stress inventory online to help caregivers and patients prioritize holiday activities. So that
I love
is a
that.
resource.
That's great.
Yeah.
Good to know. I'm going to go look it up and start using it. Thank you.
Okay. All right. With that, I think we will move along. Okay, just a reminder, this is our contact information. So again, if you want those slides, go ahead and send us an email, okay? And then before we go, I just want to touch again on the continuing education units. Please note that the evaluation does ask for your name and email address, and you must include these so we can certify that you completed the evaluation. That email is the address we will use to mail your certificates. And I will get these out to you in 4 to 6 weeks. And please, 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 I see a lot of phone numbers in the list here. If you are listening in on a phone and you are looking for continuing education units, please add your phone number into the comment section so I can see who is who. And before we go, we just got one more question. Oh, repeat, yes. The email address for Triage Cancer is info@triagecancer.org. And I think that is it. So hold on for a second, and I will send the survey link to you in this, and that concludes our webinar for today. Thank you, Julie. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all. I appreciate being here.